One on days. I think I've uploaded the other one by now. We just getting to work on a lovely Sunday. Got to finish this off. Doing the rear brakes on it so that it's drivable. Got a customer coming to drop off some bits for my Porsche and have a look at their engine, and I've just got to get this down as well, you know, so we can get it out and do something else, I suppose. I've decided we'll do a difference between 1.8 turbos because I've got so many of them in here. It might help someone out. This is a AUM. You see your engine code is here. It says AUM on it. It's a 150 brake standard KO3S. Worst possible engine to have in my opinion. Other people might disagree with me. This though has a KO4 023, which is that style, different manifold. Downpipe comes out the side of it. Then if we go to this one over here on the stand, this is a AEB, which is the same as an AGU, sort of. Well, this is an early engine out of an A4. It's got bigger valves in it, like the AGU has. This has got a KO4 turbo swapped onto it, which doesn't really matter for here nor there. It's just because of the application it's going into. This is forged anyway, not from the factory. All cranks in the 1.8 turbos are forged from the factory. The reason why I don't like the AUMs, which is in that Jetta behind me, is because the rods are the weakest point of it. Not that any 1.8 turbo rod's strong, but the AUMs are the worst one to have. That's what I think anyway. Now, moving on over here, we have an AUQ, I think. Again, we'll find it here, AUQ. There somewhere, see, AUQ. This is from the factory VVT KO3S 180 brake. Although the VVT is only for emissions control on the 1.8 turbo. This is fully forged. Again, not from the factory, but we've fully forged this. Pistons, rods. It's got a, I can't remember now, Garrett turbo I think to go on it. Customers trying to push 600 brake out of it. We'll see if we get there. It's to go into an A3. It's got NA cams in it instead of 20 valve turbo cams because the duration and lift's a little bit different on it. Right, here we have a BAM, which is a BM. This is at the Audi S3s and the Leon Cooper R's. This is 225 standard, same engine as the AMK, and the APY, it's just 225 instead of 210. Has a KO4, we don't have the turbo on it, but it has a KO4 023, the same as that Jetta. And it's small port valve, again with a forged crank, conrod's non-forged. Now, if it was up to me, and I have done it when I had an Audi S3 8L, is an AGU engine, forged engine with a KO4 in it, tubular manifold, was a nice daily car. I don't personally like the AUM, as I've said probably 3 times now, because of the rods. But this turbo, the KO4 023, makes it hard on a off chance if you're putting it in a match or a Jetta. You have to have a, see that downpipe there, like an S shape. If you have KO4, I think it's an 001, don't quote me, I'll find out later and put it down if I've got that wrong. You can use the KO3, KO3S manifold, bolt straight onto it. You don't get as much power out of them, but it's an easier modification. It's especially, or upgrade, sorry, especially if you're going into a Mat 2 factory location, as you see, because there's not a lot of downpipe there. But then also running onto 20 valve turbos, and that's a Corrado rear engine mount on an O2A, you'll see there. So if we go over to the other Mat 2 that's also got an O2A in it, we'll see why you can't use a standard mount on it. Right, so this is also an O2A. We're not using hydraulic setup on this. This is a cable clutch setup off a Mark III Ibiza. So this is like, it acts like it should be hydraulic, it's not. and this isn't how I wanted to do it, but we've had to use studded bar and lock it off in little air because, well, it was bank holiday and no one was open to actually try and get a bolt in. So this is a Mark II mount. As you can't really see the angle, but the angle's probably 30 degrees forward, and it's not too bad. I mean, if you look at the engine, it's sort of where it wants to be, but this is the issues with putting any gearbox in somewhere that it shouldn't probably be in, as people will know. Anyway, I digress. Linkages, we'll ignore them. We'll ignore that. Let's not talk about that a minute. That's having a 2 litre bottom end, putting it as a whole different thing. So with the 1.8 turbos in these, obviously this is, move that box. This is the same. We didn't build this, someone else built this. I've just been going through it to try and sort it because it's a state. I mean, that for once. Anyway, we won't get into that. So this is also been studded, but this is obviously hydraulic. That should have a rubber hose on it that goes to the here on the linkage. I don't know if you can see it there. There should be a. But it hasn't. Again, we didn't build it. We didn't put that loom through there because that's a stupid place to put it. But we're just doing what we can to get it running right now. Another quick side note while I remember, because a lot of people don't actually realise this. So on an O2A, move that out of the way so we can see it. On an O2A, you get that there. That's a 1.3 speedo cable. So when the Mark II Golf to get an O2A to work on the speedo, because it's not the same, this is a 1.3 speedo cable. So then that goes in there, and then threads on there like that, and then it goes through the other end. We're not in the clocks the other end at the moment because we're waiting for some new clocks for this. So this is the 16 valve. Obviously that's got an LSD in it, so ignore the mess. It was a late night Friday. I've got a locked yard. So if we in the AC, you'll have, that's the end of the speedo cable there. If you can see it, that's the end of our speedo cable. So that there goes into your back of the clocks. I don't know if we can see that there, but that's broken. That's why we're changing it. So what you should do is run. Oh, maybe fell over. You should run the 1.3 speedo cables on the O2A so that you've got a speedo, because I've got a Mark II box. I've got a Mark II box. On the standard Mark II box, it comes in here, runs on a cog that runs in there, but that you can't do it on that. It's impossible to do it. So you have to run it, obviously, on the electronic speedo drive, which, if we have a quick run around, we should have one, because I've pulled it out of this, which looks like this originally. So that's what it should come out. This just twists off. As you can see, that's the same connector. That just comes off. You chuck that away, you leave the rest of it in the box, and then put your 1.3 speedo cable in to get the speedo to work. So back to 1.8 turbos. Why I prefer the AGUs. So this wrist pin here in the con rod for the BAMs, AMKs, APYs, AUQ and AUM is smaller. The AGU, AEM, and I think there's a couple of others that I can't remember, I've got a stronger, that piece in there is bigger and it's stronger. So every time I build a 1.8 turbo, or a customer's 1.8 turbo, if they allow me to, what I like to do is have an AGU bottom end, or an AGU full engine if I can get one, because of the bigger valves in the AGU, stronger wrist pins, more confidence to put a bit more power through it without it hopefully destroying itself, which I haven't had one do it yet, but it does happen. Obviously, I haven't got an engine apart. If I did, I'd show you what I mean. Next time I build one, I'll obviously get some dimension of this. Is, I'm pretty sure, an AUQ one, that one from downstairs, obviously before we forged it. So that's what the AUMs and all that look like inside, wrist pin size, or gudgeon pin size, sorry. Don't think I've got an AGU one. If I do find one, I'll do a short clip on it on a comparison. Drive shafts. This is a thing that a lot of people get confused about. So Mark II Golf drive shaft, bolts in here, 100mm cup on a GTI, 100mm cup on a Mark 3 O2A box, 100mm cup on Mark 4s. Then they change to a 6-bolt, slightly different design. But for what you'll be using O2A, if you're using O2A, your drive shaft will fit. This is obviously a GTI. It's got 16 valve brakes on it, but this is a Mark 2 drive shaft. That's a Mark 2 drive shaft. That fits in there. Fits in there. Then you've got, this is a Mark 3 or Corrado style, bigger end on it. So if you're 5x100, that drive shaft fits your O2A anyway. O2A, sorry. All you're doing, if you're going Mark 2 to O2A style, you can use your drive shaft. If you're going wide track, you have to use the drive shaft that goes to wide track, which is obviously Mark 3. If you're going Mark 3 TDI wide track, which is 4x100, which is the same as a Mark 2, you use a Mark 3 TDI drive shaft because the ends are alright for that, which is the same as this, just a little bit longer beyond the Mark 3. Gear linkage wise, we'll get into that because I've got to cut it up anyway, so I'll show you how to put the O2A shifter in, which is this one here. That there to there is actually thinner. This is a Mark 2 shifter, this is what's come out, this is what's got to go in. So this has to be welded onto here to allow it to bolt into. Well, it's been a couple of weeks. We're going for the finale of the 20 valve what you need video, I think I'm going to call it. We've got the gear linkage in. I just need to, I'll show you now, it's a bit sunny for this out here today. Right. As you can see, that's in there, all nicely mounted. Mark 3 shifter, but Mark 2 brackets. As you can see, the bottom of the Mark 2 one's been welded onto the Mark 3. My brother's done that, and then he's painted it. And then obviously that runs up that way like it should. While we're on with things, what you might have seen in the background is that in the unit, they're not in the unit. Been waiting for an engine. The engine's finally turned up, so we'll be building the 2-litre 8 valve for that. That'll probably be, I expect, the next video, or maybe the Mark 5, because we've got that running as well, and no one's really seen that because I've kept it hidden.